This is my first astroanalysis for a while. I was drawn to this subject from recent events in New Zealand Parliament. On the 9th of October, this is the image that was in the news and went worldwide, where there was a haka performed in the public gallery of the New Zealand Parliament. I am a spotter of patterns, and only just over a year, just under a year ago, since we had our last haka in Parliament go worldwide, and it was this image that went around the world. Both images of Māori female MPs at the forefront of the news articles about haka in New Zealand Parliament. Now, haka has been popularised as a war dance, but it isn't just a war dance. It is a cultural dance of not just war or warlike intentions, but it's also performed to celebrate and to underline an occasion. The haka is done in support of whatever the occasion is. So I looked at these two. Oreni is this MP's name, and Hana put me in mind of Dame Whina Cooper. Now she, in her day, this is way back in 1975, her image was the one that was used in all the news articles to communicate the land march, Māori fighting for the rights to their land. And at the age of 79, Dame Whina Cooper was the face of and the leader of this historic land march. And right up until the more recent land march, which is actually connected to the haka that Hana performed in Parliament, up to that point, which was last year, this land march was historic and groundbreaking in the amount of people that joined the march. It was record-breaking for New Zealand, and that record was then broken by the march last year, and a march for the same or similar reasons, Indigenous rights. Then I'm going further back. This has really sparked me looking into the feminine sovereign, and this is Kate Shepherd. She was the leader of the New Zealand Suffragette movement, and New Zealand was the first country to gain the women's right to vote at a national level. And of course, this was in the colonial political system, so it's not an Indigenous face that's at the forefront of these times. So to really balance this out, I can't ignore this woman, Mere Te Tai Mangakahia. Just including her there just by way of context, in the very same year that Kate Shepherd led the suffragette movement and was successful in getting New Zealand women the right to vote, or New Zealand white women or non-Māori women the right to vote. In that same year, Mere addressed the Māori Parliament, seeking the same thing, women's right to vote, but not only that, women's right to stand for election. I just want to point out the pattern that I'm noticing already with the dates. 9th of October, just 10 days ago. I'm recording this on the 19th of October. 14th of November. 14th of September to 13th of October. 19th of September. So September, October, and then into November is a pattern that I'm noticing here. I went looking to see what is it that stands out in the star map for these moments in history or moments in time. And Black Moon Lilith features and is very prominent in these charts. So I'm going to go through these. So the first one, when women got the right to vote, we have Black Moon Lilith is in the sign, natally, she is in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is traditionally ruled by Mars, and Scorpio is the feminine sign that was ruled by Mars. Aries is the other sign that is ruled by Mars, and that's the masculine sign that's ruled by Mars. So in the system prior to Uranus, Neptune and Pluto joining the bunch of planets that were used in astrology, and each one of them had a feminine and a masculine sign that they rule. Scorpio is now has a modern ruler as well, and that modern ruler is Pluto. Back to the feminine sovereign. The Black Moon Lilith represents the feminine sovereign. If you don't know the story of Lilith, so Lilith was Adam's first wife, and Lilith refused to be subservient to Adam, and as a result, she left the Garden of Eden. So, basically, she is the poster child for feminine sovereignty. So here she is in the New Zealand chart. So this chart I have for New Zealand is based on the first signing of Te Tiriti o Waitangi. And I have that as 3 p.m. in the afternoon based on Colenso's eyewitness account of the day that the Te Tiriti was first signed in Waitangi. Claudia Orange wrote a very comprehensive record of the Treaty of Waitangi, which is the founding document of New Zealand, and she cites Colenso's eyewitness account, which is why I've used that account as well, and used it to estimate when they would have gone by boat to Russell and then back to Waitangi to actually start the signing process. And that is subject of a separate video that I have that I will link here, establishing the chart for New Zealand. So here we go. We have Black Moon Lilith in the feminine sign of Mars. So that's like the yin warrior, I'm calling it the yin warrior sign. And in this chart for the granting of women's right to vote, we have the North Node, which in a country's chart represents the collective destiny, is approaching a conjunction or a joining with Pluto that represents power, and also has a tight questioning aspect or energy with the natal or the birth position of the Black Moon Lilith, representing feminine sovereignty and in the sign of the yin warrior. Not only is the natal Lilith being aspected, but also the transiting Lilith. Throughout this presentation, the orange is the transiting or the current positions. The orange are the positions of the planets as at the 18th of September 1893. The blue positions are the positions in the birth chart of the country. The first Te Tiriti signing that happened in Waitangi, and that is what I'm using for the New Zealand birth chart, and that's all the positions that are in blue. The Black Moon Lilith, as at 18 September 1893, was approaching Saturn, and Saturn represents government, also square to the moon, and the moon represents the people. And that's a very tight square, it's just 6 minutes. That's the Black Moon Lilith features for the first chart, which is the granting of the women's right to vote in New Zealand. The next chart is the land march. So I've chosen the last day, even though it ran from September to October. This is the, I guess you could say, the pinnacle of the march when they reached their destination, which was Parliament, the New Zealand Parliament. So again, we have the Black Moon Lilith of the 13th of October 1975 up here in orange is right there with the people in the birth chart. The moon, the people in the birth chart is at 1758. Black Moon Lilith on the 13th of October 1975 is at 1730. So close. The transiting Black Moon at 1730 is actually sitting between the people, the moon, and Uranus, which represents revolution. A land march is a pretty revolutionary act. Then we have the transiting moon, or the people, are on a point of fate. And not only that, it's at the what they call the anaretic or the crisis degree in cardinal Earth. Cardinal is an initiating energy, and Earth obviously is land. So this is a land march, and the people on the point of fate of initiating energy for land. And then we have the North Node, which is the point of collective destiny, and it is approaching a joining with the natal or the birth Black Moon Lilith position. Again, like I said before, in the sign of the Yin warrior. So again, we have a very strong presence of Black Moon Lilith, the feminine sovereign, in this land march chart. Now we're going to look at Hana's Haka, and ripping up of a controversial bill that was seeking to rewrite the Te Tiriti o Waitangi, like I said, a founding document. And here again, we have, on the 14th of November last year, the sun, which represents the national identity, is very close to the birth Black Moon Lilith in the country's birth chart. So the sun's at 2208 and Black Moon Lilith is at 1922. So it's very close. And then you can see the transiting Black Moon Lilith here is also in the sign of the Yin warrior, and in a very tight, supportive trine. So a trine is supportive energy, supportive flowing energy, to Chiron, which is here, 424, and Black Moon Lilith in the sky at the time of the 14th of November last year was at 326. So that's a fairly, that's a very close trine between those two, and both in water signs as well. And Chiron represents societal wounds. So you could say that, Te Tiriti o Waitangi has certainly been subject of a lot of societal wounds for sure, and continues to be, actually. Again, we've got this initiating energy in the land with the Venus placement. So she's in cardinal Earth, and she's on top. You know, there's Venus on top of Venus. Pluto on that point of fate. And then Saturn nearing the revolutionary energy of Uranus in the birth chart. And now we've come to just 10 days ago, the 9th of October, the one that sparked all of this investigation from me. And here we have Black Moon Lilith in the sky as of 9th of October, 10 days ago, was just 2 minutes, look, 2 minutes away from Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication, Mercury the messenger. But not only that, this conjunction between Black Moon and Mercury were in a tight square. So a square is a very activating energy. So in a very tight square to the natal Mercury over here. So here's the natal Mercury at 3 degrees 24, and Black Moon at 3:35 Scorpio, and Mercury at 3:37, and the natal Mercury at 3:24 Aquarius. Not only that, Pluto in the sky is currently conjunct the natal Mercury. So Pluto at 1 degree 22 Aquarius is within range for influencing the country's natal Mercury. Then we have, just natally, we have Jupiter with Black Moon Lilith, so that Jupiter expands the Black Moon Lilith influence, right? And both of them are actually trine the North Node that's in the sky at the moment. So the North Node is up here at 16 degrees 36 Pisces, which is, you know, pretty tight with the Jupiter and still in a strong relationship, not as tight with the natal Black Moon Lilith as well. So we have that supportive energy, the expansion of Black Moon Lilith natally in a supportive trine relationship with the collective destiny, the North Node. And again, the North Node is sandwiched between Uranus, revolution, and the moon, the public or the people. We've got that influence here again. So with these charts, starting from women being granted the right to vote, the Land March led by Dame Whina Cooper, the Haka in Parliament and the ripping up of the controversial bill, and then just last week, or just 10 days ago, the Haka in the public gallery leading to the suspension of New Zealand Parliament, and this being the face of that suspension because it was during this MP's maiden speech. Her maiden speech was the reason for the Haka. And here are how a Black Moon Lilith shows up in a chart. And I've put in bold here the things that really stood out to me as being resonant with the happenings and the history of feminine sovereignty within Aotearoa New Zealand. So if you want, you can actually pause to read this in full. I'm going to move on to this nuance from the same date that Parliament was suspended 10 days ago. It was also the date that this controversial bill, another one, had its second reading. And basically this bill seeks to reduce the rights for Indigenous to be the protectors of their environment, which is an Indigenous right that is enshrined within Te Tiriti o Waitangi. So this is another way to, basically reduce the rights of the Indigenous people of these lands. So what's interesting is that this is the second reading, and the government intends to pass this legislation by the end of this month. And on Friday, a petition was delivered to Parliament opposing, this bill. So this 20,000 strong petition. So the 20,000 signatures were gathered in just 2 days. So that's not that many signatures overall, but for a 2-day effort, that's a lot. So that was just the 16th of October, and at the time of recording this, it's the 19th of October, Sunday the 19th of October. Parliament is meeting on the 21st, the 22nd and 23rd, and they're in recess the 28th, 29th, 30th. So remember, I said back here that they intend to pass the legislation by the end of the month. If they're going to do that, it's going to have to be next week. So then the astrology is we have Mercury and Mars are exactly conjunct, or exactly together in the sky. Local time, 18 minutes past 8 in the evening tomorrow. So the signification of Mercury and Mars is fighting words or debate. What is going to be debated in the House next week? This second controversial bill that is being opposed by Māori, by the Indigenous people. Not just them, because they have their supporters as well. It's not just Māori who oppose it. So let's have a look at Black Moon Lilith for tomorrow. So we have, amazingly, so here is Mercury and Mars in the sky for tomorrow at 19 degrees and 12 minutes, Scorpio. Right on top of the natal Black Moon Lilith at 19 degrees and 22, just 10 minutes in it. So the fighting words are right on top of the feminine sovereign energy, and which is, like I said, expanded by Jupiter natally. So then we also have, amazingly, Black Moon Lilith in the sky tomorrow is also conjunct that Jupiter, and more loosely the natal Black Moon Lilith and the Mercury and Mars. This is a very tight bunching here. So we've got a double, and it's expanded by Jupiter. The transiting Black Moon is in a supportive trine with the people, also, conjunct with Jupiter, with the natal Jupiter by 11 minutes there. Then the North Node is still in play, so to speak, and is between the moon, the people, and approaching Uranus revolution. So you can read into that, I'm very intrigued to see what is going to happen this week coming. Then on top of that, we have Neptune. So Neptune is the ocean, right? So Neptune is god of the sea, lord of the oceans. And remember this bill, what is it called? Marine and Coastal Area Amendment Bill. It's all to do with the waters, with the ocean. So in a country's chart, Neptune represents social movements, public opinions, unions, and disadvantaged groups. And it is just 20 minutes from the point in the chart that's called the medium coeli. And that in a country's chart is really about social movements. There's that word again, so that's another double. And political direction. So this is telling a story, or laying the ground for the unfolding of the story that will happen this week. There is also a significant pattern here that involves this Mercury, Mars, Lilith and natal Lilith on one arm of the base of what is called a finger of God. The other arm is the south node, which typically doesn't get included in a pattern, but I feel that it's so close, and that south node really represents like the past. And it's here I looked it up, and it said it in a mundane sense, it is representing a collective tendency that is being challenged. So that really resonates with what's going on next week with this bill that's being debated in the House. And it points to, the point of the finger is Pluto, which it represents power. And Pluto is in the house of government. So this is very relevant. So debate with the feminine sovereign, with collective tendency that's being challenged here with the South Node, and pointing to power in government. Let's see what happens at the time we have this exact Mercury-Mars conjunction of fighting words with the feminine sovereign. It would not surprise me, obviously, if there is a feminine face at the forefront of this debate. And there's a number of candidates in Parliament that face could be that will fill the circle. The story's not finished though, because we then have the sun in the sky will then be on the natal Black Moon Lilith on the 12th of November. And the transiting Black Moon Lilith will be within range of Venus. And both of them are trine the natal North Node of collective destiny. And then the transiting North Node of collective destiny is really close to Uranus by this point, just 8 minutes away. This is another date where I'm going to be watching this space to see what unfolds. And then last but not least, we have Venus will be on this point of 19 degrees 22 Scorpio, the yin warrior. And so she will be activating the natal expansion of Black Moon Lilith by Jupiter, trine the sun, square the sun, the natal sun, and trine the moon and Uranus. So everything in blue is the birth signature, and Venus will be activating that. Then we have the transiting Black Moon is in a tight quincunx. A quincunx is a questioning energy. So it's like querying societal wounds, because it's Chiron that it's got this aspect with, which represents societal wounds. And Chiron is in the first house, the house of self-image. And then again, we have the North Node still up here, but now further away, and is now separating from the revolutionary energies of Uranus. So again, another date to watch this space. So here we have this pattern of Black Moon Lilith that I've summarized here. So when women got the right to vote, the Black Moon Lilith in the sky was with Saturn, and the North Node was querying the natal Black Moon. In the land march, the Black Moon in the sky was with the Moon and Uranus, so with the people and revolutionary energies. And then the North Node of collective destiny was with the Black Moon, with the feminine sovereign. Last year, when Hana did her Haka in Parliament, Black Moon was trine Chiron, Chiron being the societal wounds. So feminine sovereign in a supportive aspect with societal wounds. And then the sun was with the feminine sovereign, shining a light on the feminine sovereign. 10 days ago, Black Moon was with the messenger Mercury, and in an active square with the natal messenger of Mercury. And the North Node of collective destiny was in a supportive trine to the feminine sovereign in the birth chart. And then I've summarized the 3 dates coming up. So tomorrow, Mercury with Mars, also both of them with both Black Moon Liliths, the one in the sky and the one in the birth chart. So it's like double. Then we have the 12th of November, the sun shining its light on the natal Black Moon, and the transiting Black Moon being with Venus, and both of them in a supportive trine to the natal collective destiny point of the North Node. And last but not least, 22nd of November, Venus will be with the feminine sovereign in the birth chart, and then the feminine sovereign in the skies will be asking questions of the societal wounds in the first house of self-image. So there we have it, my quick gallop through the feminine sovereign patterns and analysing the influence of Black Moon Lilith of this country, Aotearoa New Zealand. And I'm going to be racing to get this uploaded so that it's up well before Parliament opens for the day on the 20th of October, being the first date where I've put watch this space. Thanks for tuning in, and if you have any comments, please feel free to share them. Bye for now.